All right. Thank you all for joining me today for another. I'm so excited. I actually should have checked the number of how many webinars I've now given, but it's been several for my Southern California Veterinary Management Solutions webinar, all management as much as I can do. So my name is Melissa Tompkins Lewis. I am the owner of South Coast Veterinary Management Solutions. If you're watching this later on YouTube, then you obviously have found my YouTube channel. If you're not and you're watching it live, thank you so much for coming today. I'm very excited to introduce our speaker, Desiree Miley, who I've known for many, many years. In fact, before she was all the credentials that she is today, I've known her for a while, and she's a good friend of mine. So I'm excited to have her come and talk to us about how to build a great team. If you would like to continue following and subscribing to my YouTube channel, please do so. Hit like or subscribe because I will be posting videos once a month. If you're not already on my email list to get emails about my webinars, please email me at southcoastvetsolutions@gmail.com and I can get you added. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and let Desiree take it away. So please, Desiree, share with everybody today.
Hi, thank you for being here and thank you, Melissa, for inviting me. I'm going to be talking about how to put the perfect team together, or what I feel like would be the recipe to put a perfect team together and finding the right pieces. So a little bit about me, as soon as my slideshow goes. I started in 2006 in vet med as a wee little baby. Very quickly moved into leadership. And then in 2016, with lots of help and support from Melissa and many others, I got my CVPM. And then in 2018, being in California, decided that it was time for me to get a human resources credential. I'm a huge sports fan, diehard Raiders family. My dad's originally from Oakland and Laker fan and very much into Disney. I'm extremely family oriented. That picture on the bottom, that little girl right there, that is my niece. She's 16 years old on her freshman color guard team. And that is where I spend all my weekends now, every Saturday, with 13 girls out competing, and they just keep scoring higher and higher. So it's been a new adventure for me being a sports auntie, going into jazz and girly things with color guards. So that's me pretty much in a nutshell. So finding the right pieces, where do you begin? When I came up with this topic, I was thinking about why or how I started creating what I created. Like, what was it that I was looking for in teams that I was creating? And I think it started with my first clinic and my initial mentor, Julie. She is, at the time, was in her 40s, a mom, married. I'm barely 19. She hires me in, and she was my counterpart. Like, polar opposites. Wouldn't even imagine us being the yin and yang to each other. She is the most empathetic person. She has all the customer service skills that you want for your front desk. And me, type A personality, running around like a chicken with my head cut off. But I have a knack for retaining information very well and putting it together. And so, like, when I look back on how we have created that, and there was this just instant bond and chemistry and how it worked and we were efficient, I feel like as I did this presentation, that's what I keep wanting to create within my teams. So when I'm doing that, I look around and I see, okay, what do we have? Do I have a new grad that's a new doctor? I probably am not going to want to put an inexperienced vet assistant with them. Do I have a whole bunch of extroverts? How do I counter that with some introverts? So I try and figure out what pieces are missing. Growing up in sports, everybody has their role, right? So you are great at these skills, but how does that fit with the goal and the team orientation? Because everybody can be a scorer, but who's going to be on defense? So if you can't stop them from scoring, you can still lose the game. So those are what I start to look at when I look into my hiring process. Most of us inherit our teams, so we have to get to know them. I have been fortunate in the last year to have created a team from the ground up. So I literally had nothing. And as I interviewed them, each person that came in, I looked to see how those fit together. So I look for skills. I think obviously we need skills, but I constantly say, I can teach you vet med. I can't bring who you are into this. So yes, skills are great. If I need an RVT, I need you to be able to do RVT things. But if you can hit all the tech skills in the world, but you don't get along with the people, how is that going to affect the efficiency and the chemistry of the team? I look at characteristics. So I am naturally an introvert by nature, regardless of what most people think to see in the world of my profession. I am naturally an introvert. But I can be an extrovert when needed. But there's a role in it. So you don't want everybody to be extroverted all the time, but you also don't want everybody to be quiet all the time. So how do you balance that out? In this team right here, this is my team in Garden Grove that I got to put together, all brand new. I have a mix. And so my front staff, I had 2 very extreme extroverts and 1 great customer service, calm, quiet, by nature an introvert, but still the sweetest thing, because it's a counterbalance. You don't want to just have very happy all the time, bubbly things. We deal with things that aren't always happy. I'm very black and white. I'm very analytical. So I try to surround myself with people who can see some of the gray areas. I have supervisors that are very black and white. And then I make sure that their counterpart is somebody that has more empathy, that plays a little bit more on emotions, because they complement each other. You can't have all of the same thing, because then it's just the same thing. You're looking at carbon copies. So if everybody has the same skills, then everybody's lacking in the same area. And the skills are great. The characteristics are great. But what about the other half? Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, including within your team. And so you work on that and building that. I would love to say that it's easy and that it works 100% of the time, but it doesn't. People change. People change over time. People change as they grow. People bring different things. I believe it was Rhonda I had her speak on it or listened to her speak on it. She mentioned Disneyland. I love people from Disneyland. I always interview people from Disneyland because there's something about that customer service. I also love Starbucks people because I'm a Starbucks girl. And I know how cranky I am without my coffee. So if you can handle people at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can handle people that are coming in with their pets. I also have had it where just because they have a certain degree, I had an RVT that was an RVT later in life. She was fantastic. And the leadership team just kept wanting her to be in surgery, wanting her to be in surgery. That wasn't the place for her. She had spent more of her time being a client than being in vet med. So for her, where she succeeded was putting her in rooms, being in the front. People loved her. She thrived in there. She showed compassion for the clients. She was able to do the things that other people couldn't understand, where there was barriers for them to get clients to understand. I've also interviewed people for multiple positions and didn't accept them the first time because it wasn't complimentary for what they needed to do. But then when another position opened up that I felt like they were better for, or that what they were bringing would help, that's where I put them. Again, everybody would love for it to be a perfect recipe, right? We want it to look like these purple, beautiful cupcakes that turn out great. That's not life. People are ugly. People are messy. It is what it is. We want to get it close, right? It's going to be tasty. We're going to make some, it's going to be this little chocolate wood melted, but it still tastes good. It still does good. But what do we learn from it? Like for me, there's always time to tweak it. There's always different things. As people become more confident in their skills, as people learn different things, they want to grow. And how do you encourage that? How do you nurture that? Like I've worked with very new teams. My team right now is very new in working together. And what they want is to be challenged, and they want to know that it makes a difference. So I put them in certain positions when I hired them. It's our job to train them, develop them, grow them within the practice, but also this industry takes a toll on them. Sometimes they need a break. And so then you got to revamp that recipe. Like we got a good foundation. I think of it like cookies. I couldn't find a good cookie picture, but you got that sugar cookie base. Do you add sprinkles this month, or are we adding chocolate chips? And you know, that base may be good here for just chocolate chips. And another one may need some nuts, some sprinkles, and some toffee. And you put it together. And then next month, that's not working. I have inherited a team where I had a human trained phlebotomist that was cleaning kennels because nobody knew what to do with her. So we moved her, put her in with patient care, and she soared and she developed and she became one of the strongest vet assistants in less than 6 months because she wasn't in the right spot. And we revamped that recipe a little bit. Sometimes it's also a matter of what skills and what strengths do the people you have working within your function. Like, can you provide help in nurturing what they want? Sometimes they just need a break. They just need a break from dealing with the clients and the patients. So what do? What helps them? Give them small assignments and let them have ownership of it. I have a girl, and I've had it before, where they needed to, and this is usually my introverts, I've noticed, because I'm that way, they need to have control over something. So give them a project that's their baby, that they have responsibility over. And then that allows them to develop their skills. It allows them to feel challenged. And it makes it to where other people on the team can see them as well and know that, oh, that's the go-to person for this. And then sometimes it works. I would say for me, it's been a lot of trial and error, a little bit of luck and magic. And I try to be as creative as I can. I look past just, I need a vet assistant, because skills are skills. My teams are with each other 40 plus hours a week. Most of our teams are with each other 40 plus hours a week. And if they can't develop a bond and a chemistry that works, you would never imagine them, if you saw them walking down the street, that they would be as tight knit as they typically tend to be. I've been very fortunate and I'm gonna go with lucky in picking the right people and putting them in the right places most of the time. Sometimes your gut's wrong. Sometimes what did work for 6 months isn't working these next 6 months because people are messy. I get creative. I try to check in with them. I like to push them. I like to challenge them. And I think by giving them that, it helps them. I right now go into most of my interviewing process knowing that I may be a stepping stone. I may not be a forever home for somebody. I may not be somewhere that they're going to be for the next 20, 30 years of their career. But I do let them know I want them to leave me better than they came. And I give them the empowerment to do that. I ask them, what do you need? What is it that you want? One of my big interview questions right now is, if hired, what goals do you want us to help you achieve? And sometimes they don't even know what's out there. I think that I've been blessed and fortunate to have created the network and had the people around me and have the feedback. And I'm big in promoting that for them as well. But that's a lot of it. Giving them different choices. I don't live on a dictatorship level. I have executive power if need be, but I like to know, this is your job. You have to do it. So what do you need from me to help make your job easier? And that's what I provide for them. That's them getting a CPR training that none of them, well, except for my RVT and my doctor there, had ever been in vet med for that long to ever have to learn emergency critical care. So I gave that to them because they wanted it. They thrive in it. I have another team that literally just wants to see my face. I'm like, hi, I'm here. Okay, that's it. Their life is so much better. They're like, you're here, everything is better. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I I hold them accountable, but I also empower them. And I think that is where we find the right pieces, because sometimes you have an off day and it's just not the right spot for you. And that's okay. And I think giving them a safe space to do that, because I can have the most specialized RVT that can run anesthesia, that can do all the anesthetics, but then can they also talk to the clients? Can they talk with their team? Can they build relationships with each other? If you have 15 people that are on a 15 energy level all the time, at what point when somebody is down at an 8, is it a safe space to be at an 8? You got to have a balance. I think that truly does help in creating the right pieces. And that's really my spiel. This me, it's my 2 teams. The one on my left is mostly my former teams and all their crazy glory. And the one on the right is my current team, one of my current teams, and how they've been together for a year and pretty much still look just like that, just by some good luck.
So Desiree, how did you create these teams? So did you like do personality profiling? Like how did you determine like what people, not what people, but like I guess which people to pick? Like how did you make those decisions?
I obviously looked for seasoned people in my leadership roles. And then beyond that, I've looked at complementary personalities. So once I look past skills, it's complementary personalities. Like, do I feel like if I put this introvert next to this extrovert, are they going to be able to soar, or are they going to get overshadowed? Does this person have the ability to understand that it is a team dynamic? So for me, I played basketball for the better part of 20 years. You have your point guard and your center. I was a center. I was a biggest player on the court. And so everybody knew I don't dribble. Don't give me the ball. So just don't give me the ball. I rebound. I'm a defensive player. 100%. Don't score. Was a great defensive player. So I don't dribble. But my best friend, who happened to be my point guard, smallest person on the court, fast, quick, all of that. She knew, just come and get it from me. And we had that dynamic. So then I look at those kinds of things. It wasn't necessarily personality traits as far as like I did testing on them. I try to know who I'm hiring. I try to know who I'm putting them with. So with my team that I inherited, I let the dust settle. Like I spend 6 months with them and try and figure out, okay, who is here? What's going on there? And try and get to know them, because a lot of times people don't know who and what they're capable of until somebody else tells them. It's an outsider looking in. And then beyond that, it's the skills that they bring too. So your Disneyland, your baristas, those people have great customer service, or people who've worked call centers. They know how to talk to people on the phone, but do they know how to talk to people when they're dealing with finances? Or do you understand what finances is and cash handling and so forth? Do you know how to explain patient care and what that looks like? So then I try and, if I have a strong medical person, I really go looking for somebody who's strong in customer service to kind of match with each other.
Yeah. Desiree, can I ask a question?
Cool.
So I try to do the same thing. I love the variety of personalities, but what I think gets challenging with that is that I see the value that that brings, but I'm not so sure that the team sees that value, and they have a hard time not wanting to hire someone just like them.
Yeah.
So, right? That we all think that we do it right.
Right.
We're the way of the world, you know? So as a leader, we can see how that puzzle together works really well, but sometimes I get a little bit, I get a little feedback that they might not be a good fit. And I can just start to see this theme. It's like, oh, that person's not like you.
So for me, it was conversations with when the team would meet new people, and I'd be like, what is it that you struggle with? And I wait for them to tell me, like, what are your struggles? Oh, well, I'm not really good at, making sure that I get charts prepped, or I'm not really good at making sure that people are charged out in a timely manner. And then I'll be like, okay, well, this person literally worked a Black Friday at Walmart and knows how to cash handle and he can deal with people in a timely fashion because they don't have a choice. Yes, you are fantastic at client education and they struggle and they're going to struggle with that for a while, but they're bringing up something that they're helping you in an area that you're struggling in. And so I counter it with that. Or I know that I have technicians that have never enjoyed dentistry ever. They're like, no, dentistry sucks, dentistry sucks. I'm like, I get it. You're not a dentistry person. That's 100% fine.
Yeah.
This one over here, she loves dentistry. She may not be as good as you in room, but she's going to do dentistry.
Yeah.
So that's going to help you because you can either learn or you get that burden taken off of you.
Yeah.
So I ask them which parts they're struggling in, and I'm like, and then I go, okay, that's the strength that they have, and that's where I look for that.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And Desiree, you had mentioned that when you hire people, that you ask them like what they want or what they're looking for to help them grow or whatever. Do you meet with them regularly afterwards? Like, how do you make sure that that's continuing?
So
I guess I
I stole the title from Summer, who is a practice manager at Lincoln Plaza. I try to do moves. I have my clinic managers do moves with them monthly one-on-ones. And so I check in with them, and specifically if they have big goals, like I have a girl that wants to go to vet school, but I'm like, okay, so where are we in that process? You mentioned it to me, and I'll just do informal check-ins. I have people who are interested in they've been vet assistants. And so it's like, okay, are you ready to go to tech school? Like, are you ready to do the alternative route? What are we doing with that? Others that want to be, front staff that wants to go to the back. Okay. Well, how well do you know your vaccine protocols? And we'll just do random pop-up quizzes. Or if there's an opportunity where we're able to teach, then I pull them. When I check in with them on informal conversations, I ask them, how's it going? Have they pushed towards it? Have they done what they needed to do? I give them 3 check-ins to tell me that they're doing what they need to do. And I push hard and then I back off if they're not ready. And I come back at performance evaluations and be like, okay, so we had these goals. Is that still a goal that we're looking for? Because sometimes it's just not the right time in their own personal life too, to keep pushing that hard. And so they have to make that choice. But at least I want them to know that it wasn't forgotten and it wasn't just a blatant unknown question that was asked. I check in.
Gotcha. That's really good. What do you do if the pieces aren't working?
If the pieces aren't working, first, just like any puzzle, I try to make sure that maybe I'm putting them in the wrong spot. Maybe they just fit in a different part of the picture. If that doesn't work, then I tend to find out what changed. Did I maybe read it wrong or get it wrong? Did the team change a little bit? Did we have a change in the dynamics? Because as soon as you add another person or another piece to it, the whole chemical reaction is different. So what has changed? And is the change for the betterment of the whole, or is it detrimental to the whole? Sometimes it was a great puzzle piece, but we added this other piece in and it made it better, but this one person is now sticking out. Again, see if we can develop them. Sometimes I may not be your forever home. It may be time for you to outgrow me, and that's okay. And that's fine, because there's so many of us out here and there's so many opportunities that I think that people need to go and have that chance to do.
Have you had to terminate them? Oh, go ahead. Someone else has a question. Go.
I actually want to ask a question off of that. So I went on maternity leave last June. I made a hire right before I left. I made the hire based on a couple of other local PMs telling me, oh yeah, she's really skilled. She's really great. Cool. My team gets along fantastically. I don't have a divide between the front and the back. It's great. I've
awesome.
never even had a hospital that's where we didn't have a divide. They all go out and party. Like,
Yep.
I love that for them. It's great. I come back from maternity leave 6 months later and I find out this particular person not meshing. I mean, no one likes her. And now, I'm not going to lie, after being back for 4 months, I don't particularly like her. And I feel terrible for saying that, but she brings certain value to the team. I mean, our inventory has never been better. That's great. She's an RVT. Those are hard to find.
Yes.
But she's not meshing. And it is mostly her from what I've seen. I've tried to be as biased as I can. I mean, I came in unbiased, sorry.
Mhm.
I came in completely unbiased, nobody's team. And I just watched the interactions. She is very quick to make sure that, oh, that wasn't my fault. It might have been that person's fault. It could have been that. Very quick to deflect, doesn't take responsibility. Nothing is ever her fault, even though I've found a lot of problems. What do you do with that? I can't just fire her because what do you do?
Okay, I'm gonna give a harsh answer. Why not? Like for me, I look at it as for the whole. If your whole team is doing great, yes, she has these skills. Those are invaluable skills. But if she's not meshing in that culture of 40 hours, sometimes 50 hours that people are together, that's
an exam with Dr. Goulet.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's
I
a
hate that
different
system.
stress, right? Like our teams are already so stressed. And
Yeah.
I had a situation like that where it was like, we need her, like we need the body, we need the skills, we need all
I need
of
the
that.
license. I'm not even gonna lie. I need that damn
We
license.
need that, right? But is that worth it for everything else that it's causing that hectic around? Because now this person isn't thriving and this person isn't thriving and they're not being as efficient for you and they're not creating a good place. You're the one that's ultimately going to do that. Like, yeah, you need the license, but do you need the license more than the other 15 staff members?
All right. Yeah, I figured that might be the answer, but I was just,
And the thing is, she may not fit with that group. I've been very fortunate in the last 10 years that I've been multi-site. So I've literally moved people from one hospital to another to find out if that's where it works. And they didn't thrive in the hospital that I thought they were, that they had been at for a long time, moved them to another one, and they were great. It was a completely different person. Even though it was still all under the same umbrella, the cultures in those people, it's a chemical reaction.
yeah. There's just it's palpable. Like,
yeah,
when she's working Fridays, she doesn't work. Oh, the team's just killing it.
And that's it. Do you want that just to only be on Fridays?
No.
Is that license worth the other 15 team members?
No.
From a business.
Okay.
And I would ask you, Lindsay, to think about what have you done with this person? What conversations have you had with them?
We've talked, we've had coaching. I don't know why nobody likes me. I don't understand. I mean, it's just, there's a very lack of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Very.
They may not. I have my most recent one, I transferred from one location to another and I was at both locations. And the person that she was at one location compared to the person she is in her current location is night and day. She couldn't understand. And looking in from my leadership perspective, what I've realized was a lot of her responses were defensive and due to insecurities.
Yeah.
And there wasn't that team over there as a very established team. They know their roles. They're very specialized. So outsiders are hard to come in. Where the other team is newer, open, everybody's still kind of figuring it out. And so it was more comfortable for her to ask questions with the newer team than with the older team. But the person and how she spoke, even to doctors and leadership at one versus the other, is night and day. And we couldn't put a finger on it until I moved her.
Yeah, I think another problem that I was told when she first came on is she was originally in a PM leadership role, and she didn't want to do that anymore. And she was at like a big specialty hospital, and she's older, and the team felt that she was very demeaning to them, talked down to them all the time, was constantly trying to be like, oh, I know more because I've been in this industry, very like mothery.
Yeah.
That's not how my team responds. Like, these are all, I mean, yeah, they're all in their mid to early 20s, but they've been doing this, they understand, like you said, they have their roles here. They've gotten I've hired almost this entire team since we purchased this hospital 2 years ago. We got rid of the bad eggs, and this team has worked very well cohesively. So to come back to that, I was like, what happened?
It's just, she's not part of the right recipe.
All right.
The
Cool.
recipe for her.
Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. Thank you.
Any other questions? Please feel free to unmute if you have any.
This is
add?
kind of on the tip of my tongue, so I'll just say, I feel like I'm struggling a little bit with those in general, that don't seem to have found, whether they're the right personality or whatever, don't seem to figure out the purpose of their lives and what it means to be in this industry and how rewarding it can be if they extend themselves a little bit to their coworkers or if they extend themselves to clients. And I'm not saying sell your soul. I'm not saying like, but I am struggling with sharing how important that is. And it's a culture shift that I'm trying to make one at a time. Like you
Mhm.
said, each person as they're getting themselves off the bus or we're getting them off the bus, we do have to have bodies.
We have to have bodies. We can't do it all by ourselves.
I couldn't do it. But I'm still struggling how to, and what you said, like my most recent interview, I actually took someone out to lunch and sat down and really had like a long off the way conversation to see like what I could figure out that way. And that was really eye-opening. I really could feel, I'm a feeler. I'm probably not as analytical as you, Desiree, but it helped me to really get to know this person and see if they could figure out their purpose. Like, was that there? Like, aside from the personality, because this particular person has a very different personality. That worries me a little bit. Like I mentioned, throwing that into a position that's not similar-minded people.
Mhm.
But I think that's good. And to change that culture, I feel like this person, by the way, has the right purpose that I am looking for. But I think that upsets the apple seed too, to some degree, because maybe that's intimidating for someone who has been here a little while and they've lost their purpose. But I'm just struggling with, in general, like people having a purpose. And I don't know if it's I don't know if it's generational or if it's just, I'm just stepping stones for other people, although we've got so many long-term people. So I don't think that's it, but we've had a lot of change. I'm new. I've been here only a year. So,
Not
same
new
problems.
anymore, Marlo. It's been
Yeah.
a year, so you're not new.
Not new, I guess,
Yeah.
anymore. I'm
And
past
that's hard because I have the same challenge. Like I said, I have a team that's very, very established. They've gotten very comfortable in their roles.
yeah.
And while they're amazing at their roles, they're stagnant.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
stagnant. And it's like, you're fantastic, but we're growing, we're changing.
Yeah.
That is changing.
Yeah.
Every day it's changing. So it's now like, okay, what else can we do to help push you? Not push you too far,
Yeah.
get you out of your comfort zone. And
Yeah.
so it's putting it on them. What new skill do you want to learn?
Right.
You don't know everything. I don't know everything. We constantly are educating ourselves. We're here learning and teaching and getting whatever. So what is the new thing that you want to learn in the next 6 months?
Yeah.
What are you struggling with? Or what do you feel like you're struggling with? And how do we do that for you? And that's going to find a purpose for themselves, because what is your purpose for being here? Just to do the same thing day in and day out? You're doing jugular pokes, 100 jugular pokes a day. That's it. You don't want to understand how to read a cytology. You don't want to learn the whatever else there is that you can do within this practice. You don't want to bring something else to the table. You see it, especially in the world of social media with our younger groups, like there's a lot of vet med people on social media and they're seeing all the different things and different options. Like, aren't you excited? Like, what do you want to do? What can we do? What do you want to learn? Are we able to teach that for you? We can provide that.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have the ones that don't want to learn, be like, well, we're growing, we're changing. We want you to change with us. So tell us what you want.
Yeah.
Lately I've been walking around like a Spice Girl. I'm like, tell me what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to figure it out too. But I think you said it, and it's stagnant. See, that's happening here a bit.
And it's comfortable.
And we're changing. And so that starts to feel uncomfortable. And I think there's a couple people that are have chosen to pursue different things, which I think is great. I think if that's okay, I'm not offended at all. Like, I used to think, people don't leave practices, they leave managers, because that's what my old mentor would say. But I don't know that that's true anymore. I'm like, no, I think it has to be two ways. And I think, when that doesn't work for the other person, I 100% support you pursuing the place that brings you whatever it is that you're looking for. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now, but I do think we are in a situation where we're kind of moving that culture. And I'm trying to figure out those that are gonna be here, like, are they on the bus or not? Like, we're changing. We're putting our customers first, we're putting each other first. And that's just the direction we're going. And if that's not in your mindset, then we might not be for you. That's okay.
Don't be surprised how many of the ones that you think won't go that will. And then they become like really good at it because they've never known anything else. You know, a lot of us are like, we've all heard it from our seasoned people. Well, this is just how we've always done it.
Yeah.
Okay. But just because that's how we've always done it doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's also important to recognize that for some things, some people don't really have a desire to do more. And
True.
that's okay. And I think that if your hospital is doing new things and you're changing a bunch of stuff, that's a little bit different. But if they have no interest in growing a skill set because they don't want to, and you technically don't need them to for their job, I think there's also accepting that too. And maybe those conversations you have and you've kind of figured that out with them. Because I would be pushing them if they have no desire to grow any further, you know, that, and you sometimes need the people that can do the basic stuff.
Yeah.
Things that, so I think it's also good to recognize that you can have both.
That's a good point. I actually had someone like that at one of my practices where and it was great. They were straightforward. They never wanted to do more and they just happy as pie, just doing their thing. And that was great. We had that enough interaction to know where we each stood. So that is very true. Good point, Melissa.
And it's hard to figure out which ones are like that and which ones are like what Desiree was talking about, where you just a little bit and they could just like, you know, we've always done it this way. Like it's hard to figure out sometimes who's who with that. But that's I guess a really great point of being a manager, right?
People are messy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're messy.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Good.
I have one more question.
Go for it, darling.
I don't even know if this is the right topic, but it has been something I've been struggling with. My PO is losing her mind, so I just thought maybe I'd just ask the group. We do have a problem with swearing.
Oh.
My husband's in construction, and actually he said, I've never heard people swear more than in the back room of a veterinary hospital. And I was like, yeah, that's how we be. However, our PO is not a big fan, and I have tried everything. And she wants to start writing people up, and I just don't know if that's really worth, again, really great team. And I don't know if I want to make that kind of like, I know there's professionalism, but on the other hand, is it worth losing people or upsetting people to the point because the occasional swear word happens in the back? Do we have any?
What's an occasional swear word that happens in the back?
Okay, it's fuck. Like, it's not super loud, but like if she hears it, she's like, but I'd say maybe once or twice a day.
I think that's a rough one. Desiree, what are your thoughts on that? I was thinking they can say the D word on TV. So if they say the D word on TV, Catherine has a thought too. So Catherine and Desiree go.
Go ahead, Catherine.
Well, my thought is it really an occasional swear word if it's upsetting to anyone on the team? Obviously, it's happening more often than that, but you can always address it as sometimes people participate in order to feel like they're part of the team, even though they do find it offensive and it's hurtful to them that the conversations or those words are happening. So as a team, we need to try to be more respectful and do our best to remove that language in order to not offend someone else. And heaven forbid a client should come in the back at a time that people are loose with their conversation. But just have a conversation with the whole team as a group and just say there are people who are here that do find it offensive, and we want to not offend those who want to be loose with their language, but also not offend those that find that to be offensive.
So I've had 2 meetings. I've made Captain America signs that I put in the back where it's him saying language. You know, I tried to be cute about it. It's only the PO that is offended by it. She's very, 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 very type A. And it's very her way or the highway, which that's a whole other thing. I've already had to have a conversation with her on that. So that's why it's gotten to the write-up point, is because we've had multiple conversations.
And so because
Right.
the multiple conversations have been had, now it's a level of, okay, you're not understanding that this is a issue within. I would think 1 or 2 write-ups would get people to understand, like, you and the PO are really serious about this. It's not to the grounds of termination, but it's like, oh, because that first one that gets that write-up, everybody else will know about it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
had
you
that
can
issue.
also, you don't have to go all the way to like a written warning. You could do
Right.
a summary of discussion where it's actually
Tyler is
written
here
and
for
they
an
have to
exam with
sign it.
Dr. Goulet. We also
Because
have-
if they're actually signing a piece of paper, to them, that is a more serious crime.
Yeah.
Then so you don't have to move all the way to a write-up. If you feel like it's maybe a little bit out of line to write them up for it, do a summary of concerns and expectation or a summary of discussion where you're advising them in writing that this is what we expect from you moving forward and we're having a problem with this.
Okay.
I also had this
I like
issue
that.
too, and it was more so in regards to how, like how you guys explained it, how we perceive each other and how a client might perceive that.
Mhm.
So we know our morale, they're all joking. It's keeping the culture friendly, good in the back. But it just takes that one client to overhear it and think, wow, I don't want to go here. That's how they talk. So I just had a staff meeting. It's like, I understand it's coming to their level. It's like, I totally understand where you guys are coming from. You guys are joking, laughing. It's good. But if a client hears that, they're perceiving it a totally different way. They're hearing it that way. So I just kind of said, I went the route of a write-up. If I still hear it, it's going to lead to a write-up. You guys are more than welcome. If it's a bit slow, 5-minute break, go in the back, chit chat, because I want that morale to stay the same. Go in the far back. We have a back area, close the door. No one can hear you back there. Chit chat, however you guys want to do it. 5 minutes, come back, game face. I don't want to hear it, nothing like that. And since then, it's been good. No slip ups, no nothing, because I was able to keep them happy with saying it's okay. I understand you guys are joking, but how are the doctors hearing it and how are other clients hearing it? And that's what kind of worked for me.
I like that. All right, cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Hive Mind.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions for Desiree today? All right, wonderful. Well, thank you guys all for coming. I'm really happy that we could all join this webinar today. This will be uploaded to my YouTube channel later this weekend after I get it translated. Well, not transcribed. Thank you. Closed captioned is the right word. So thank you guys for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your days.
Thank you. Thank you, Desiree.
Thank you, Desiree.